Hello and welcome to Evolve Pipedrive podcast. We talk all things Pipedrive, sales, apps, and the Pipedrive marketplace. My name is Bruce Bignell. I'm sales director here at Evolve, and today it's my great pleasure to be joined by Ivan Grisedale, the co-founder and CRO at Lodago. Lodago's innovative software allows your prospects to book an appointment directly inside your emails with less friction and more conversions. Now, I'm really looking forward to this conversation with Ivan for a couple of reasons. One, Ivan is a CRM expert, so at some point we actually might get to geek out about the importance of CRM during this conversation. Two, because Ivan has 20 plus years helping startups and scale ups grow. From an individual contributor to head of sales across multiple businesses, Ivan is a true sales leader and a member of the Sales Community Pavilion's London chapter, formerly known as the Revenue Collective. And Lodago is on the Pipedrive marketplace. We'll be sure to put the description in the link below. Ivan, hello. Please begin to introduce yourself and Lodago to our audience, please.
For sure. So great to be here, Bruce. Thanks for having me today. So I'm co-founder, as you said, at Lodago. And just briefly, Lodago, it's a new tool that allows you to send emails from your calendar directly, emails with your calendar directly integrated, always displaying your real-time live availability inside the email itself. For the recipients, it's just a couple of clicks and the meeting's confirmed without them ever leaving their inbox. So ideally, less friction gets more meetings, and it's the only one of its kind on the market, Bruce.
Love it. Okay, so that's great. I might have told you this, but obviously a lot of our listeners are already on Pipedrive or considering the switch, but they are, they are mainly Pipedrive. Obviously, if this is a new tool, I mean, what does the current team look like at Lodago, and what would you say there?
Yeah, it's a great question. So at the moment, I think there's about 7 or 8 of us now at the moment. We are looking to grow our client base and our headcount. We've also got some really exciting well-first developments on the way, actually, which I can tell you a little bit more about. But we're looking to expand. Obviously, integrations within CRMs at the moment is very important. We integrate with the top 6 global CRMs, obviously with Pipedrive as well. But as I say, we've got some really cool features that we're going to build out very soon as well.
So, Ivan, what does a typical Lodago customer look like? What would you consider the ICP, like the ideal customer profile?
Yeah, so essentially it's anybody really that needs to book meetings at a higher volume and have a better no-show rate, maybe via reminders, and also the ability to personalise and improve the user experience for the prospect is generally top of the list. Least amount of friction, call to action. Gets most of the meetings. But so as I say, anybody really across an organisation, maybe from sales to HR to customer success. And any customer facing roles really.
Okay, and what does how many users would be within that business? Like any specific industry or company size or markets covered? Like where are you guys targeting there?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So we're ideally we cater for a single user
Yeah.
essentially. We see lots of businesses have maybe 1 to 25 users as an example, but we are predominantly targeting that mid sort of level business. So really probably anything from about 50 up to about 500 users
Nice.
would be a great example. It's always lovely, Bruce, to break into enterprise, great clients as well,
Yeah.
and we're actively looking at those as well. And again, industries, we're looking at lots, predominantly businesses that have sales teams, customer success teams potentially, but also things like education, even financial services, and even medical industries as well. We're getting a lot of interest from at the moment. So there's lots of different use cases, but essentially it's just that ability to book a meeting as efficiently as possible and provide the best user experience to incentivize and encourage them to do so, really.
Yeah, love it. So booking meetings online isn't a new thing for a lot of people over the last couple of years, right? So for what are you experiencing? Why are people choosing Lodago so far? What are you hearing
Yeah,
from
it's a
current
great
customers?
question. So I guess that the business problem that this really solves is you're absolutely right. Other solutions are out there that offer booking links, etc. We still offer all of that as a matter of course, but in reality, according to research that's recently been conducted by Google, letting the recipient perform an action directly from within the email while having access to all his up-to-date information is actually a game changer.
Mm.
It revolutionizes the user experience and increases in conversion rates by up to 60% according to Google. Before, without Lodago, a salesperson, for example, might have had to exchange several emails hoping to book an appointment. Prospects just become demotivated, and opportunities are lost because there are too many steps, to convert that meeting, essentially. So that's really, the biggest pain point, that this solves.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna. I heard an old CMO that I used to work with said he actually didn't like people sending him a link because he's like, I'm going to book a time when it's good for me. So, in terms of actionable advice, like what would you say? How should you phrase it? Should it be check my calendar or book a time that's good for you? Like, because that if it's all within the email, it feels much more natural versus click this link here to
Yeah.
go to another page, right? So, is there any kind of experience or insights that you've got there of kind of best language to use? And
Yeah, that's a great question. I guess, historically with CMOs, it's always the $1 million question really is, what subject lines do we use? What content do we use? What's the format, the layout, that gets the best results, within any type of email campaign or any emails generally that are sent. And there's lots of stats, there's lots of opinions, etc. That's out there. But I guess it's always that human, that personal touch, in how you're communicating in your words, really, within the
yeah,
email. But essentially, even if it's just very limited words in there, and then actually to see the calendar directly integrated inside the email, it's an instant. They say a picture tells 1,000 words.
yeah,
It's an instant, recognition, even on a psychological level, that you see a calendar and you think, oh, okay, you understand the call to action, and you actually go
yeah,
ahead and click 2 clicks, and suddenly you've confirmed a meeting. So often, the less said actually just drives the same result, because the purpose is around seeing that calendar and the ability to just click and hey presto, your meeting's booked for you, essentially.
yeah. No, I like it. So, what does the future? So you kind of outlined where you currently are and with the size of the team and things like this. What does the future look like? What does whether that's team expansion or features and things like this? Like what can you share today?
Yeah, so we're just releasing live chat and instant meeting functionality as well. Again, directly
Nice.
within the calendar, which is great. As I mentioned earlier, we do currently integrate with the top global 6 CRNs. Obviously, Pipedrive, being one of those. We do also have plans over the next few weeks, actually, to have this to work directly from your mail clients. So, for example, it will work directly from Gmail or Outlook 365 without actually the need to go through a third-party solution. So we're looking to offer the best of both worlds, because not everybody uses CRMs.
Mm,
Equally, not everybody doesn't work from within the CRM either. So to be able to offer both options, again, will be a game changer, because nobody's actually doing that. And this is using the latest AMP technology from Google. So it's actionable message technology
yeah,
that allows that calendar to be integrated. So lots of exciting developments. We're being asked for lots of different things as well. And another couple probably to give you a heads up is a pool calendar. So we've been asked by a number of
mm,
clients, can we what if I have 2 or 3 calendars? Can I integrate them all together and manage them efficiently? And also, what about my customer support, for example? If I have a customer support team of maybe 5 or 6 people that all book on a daily basis around one calendar time slot, so if all 5 people have booked in 9 a.m. slots, how do I work with that efficiently? And we're also building a pool calendar that will accommodate that. That's
yeah,
quite a technical challenge.
yeah.
Again, not it's not in existence really at the moment. But we think we're fairly confident that we'll have that built out fairly soon, actually.
Oh, I love it. So the is that I'm just kind of on that kind of team that you currently got. Is the development house in house? Like is that the tech teams all within that 8?
Yeah, at the moment, we've got a fantastic CTO who's also the co-founder and CEO of Lodago. He's spent over 20 years in IT. He spent the last 10 years heavily involved around email technologies. And I think the last 2 or 3 years he's been heavily involved in the AMP technology. It is a new coding language to a large extent, so not everybody's familiar with that. It does take quite extensive training and know-how to be able to just do that in the first place. But clearly he's cracked it, and he's developing a lot of these features out for us. We have hired in some external assistance, should we say, for some of that development work, but I think the objective going forwards as we grow is to keep that in house. And have that control. I think most SaaS companies that I've seen, at least, that are successful, they usually build out their own internal IT team, as opposed to necessarily subcontracting it out.
Yeah,
That there can be lots of challenges. There's lots of pros and cons for both, naturally, but
for sure.
For the ones I've seen, generally, keep it in house and grow it is always a good winner.
Yeah, I love it. You mentioned live chat there, and that's probably quite a nice segue into how it integrates well with Pipedrive, right? And so yeah, I mean, how do the two systems? What's your experience with the two systems? I know you know CRMs, so if you can just kind of tell us how Lodago and Pipedrive do integrate together.
Yeah, so Lodago is a very simple plugin. Can instantly be installed within Pipedrive. You can go to the marketplace and install that really quickly. And it's really simple to use. As you've seen, or you will see from the demo, it's just a few actions for the user to be able to send their calendar to the person they're inviting to a meeting, and it's really quick and easy with the live chat. It's very similar, actually. It'll integrate directly to WhatsApp. So if you send your calendar invitation, the recipient receives your email. If they decide they don't want to book a calendar meeting in advance with you, they can just click one button to launch an instant live chat directly through WhatsApp. They can also now do instant live meeting as well. So if you're available now and you want to have an online meeting, you can launch that directly as well. So there's lots of functionality, but as I say, just through a very simple plugin that sits inside Pipedrive.
Nice, yeah, and obviously Pipedrive, as data recording, I think it was maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago now, launched the WhatsApp and Facebook Messenger integration as well. So yeah, it'd be cool if you started from the Lodago journey into WhatsApp, then it goes back into your Pipedrive as well. That's a whole other user journey workflow there.
Absolutely.
I mean, what do you see that's working well between the two systems? Is it the fact that you can do it straight from within Pipedrive? How do you see the two systems working well together?
Yeah, so that's the key, really. So for people that are using Pipedrive as their CRM of choice, they'll use that as their working environment. So they'll do outreach to their clients potentially directly from there. So the more actions you can do without leaving the system, the simpler it is for the user, essentially. As we all know, there's always an ongoing debate about people using CRMs and how well or how poor that might use it, and the functionality. Not everybody is as proficient with using different tools potentially. So again, it's coming back to Lodago's sort of statement, really, is the least amount of actions, the least amount of friction generally is the one that gets the most results, essentially.
Yeah.
So the fact that Lodago sits inside there, and it's just a couple of clicks from within their natural environments, within the client that they're actually interacting with, a couple of clicks, meetings, invites sent, and it's done, really. Nice and simple.
Nice. And so what's the best way for people to find out more about that integration?
Yeah, so as I say, they can go to the marketplace within Pipedrive. They can install the plugin. They can go to lodago.com, our website. They can click our button, book a demo. They can get a demo instantly. But equally, they can also sign themselves up immediately on the website. There's lots of information. We've got FAQs, there's videos, etc. On there as well. And also, if they want to keep up to date on the latest features that are coming, they can sign up to the newsletter. But naturally, It goes without saying, Bruce, if they sign themselves up and they become a user instantly, they'll get all of those features as they're released automatically in time to come as well.
Yeah, nice. No, thank you for that. That was very, very, very useful. I mean, as we look to close, Ivan, there's a couple of things about you, right? So, can you tell me a little bit about your journey so far and how you ended up co-founding Lodago.
Yeah, that's a great question, and I think, as you alluded to, the beginning, I've spent, very much the last 25 years been involved in building and scaling different businesses around the world, in different products and services, in actual fact. So all with their own complexities and challenges, etc. And that's, stood me quite well to a large extent. I was involved with Lodago in the beginning. Actually, it was our COO, Gabriella. She reached out to me via LinkedIn. Hey, that's what all good salespeople do, isn't it, right? And she reached out to me. We started conversing through, LinkedIn messaging. One thing led to another, and I began consulting for them. Helping them with their just about everything, actually, with the build out of the business in many different sort of areas. And during that time, it became really clear that we had great synergies, and the mutual opportunity was obviously huge. So we decided to collaborate and join forces. And essentially, I joined Lodago, the board, and as CRO. And we're hoping, that we can do some great things now and bring this to the masses, essentially.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, how did you? So obviously, this was middle of lockdown, or middle of last year? What's the timeline there? What was
Yeah,
the?
yeah, it was actually towards the end of last year. Actually,
Okay.
I was I'd previously spent a year with Sodexo. Actually, quite a funny story. I didn't know who Sodexo were actually at the time, and I got invited to chat with the UK CEO, and I joined them for a year as business transformation. And spent a year writing their 2-year go-to-market plan for the next 2 years, ironically. During that time, I found out they were the 19th largest employer in the world, with something like 450,000 employees in 80 countries, which was quite funny and quite a surprise.
Yeah.
But just after that, I was consulting to a couple of other businesses at the same time. I'm often approached for different consultative advisor or sort of mentor sort of roles. And that's where Lodago came along. I actually looked at Y Combinator as well, and
Yeah.
had a lot of people reach out to me via Y Combinator, actually, which, as we know, is probably the world's largest, or one of the world's largest accelerators.
Accelerators. Yeah.
And I looked at lots of different things, and not everybody has a good idea in reality in the startup world, and not everything makes it. But to me, this was really appealing. And I think the most important thing is the people in the business, actually. Their
Yeah.
abilities and the relationships that you have with them. As with anything, if you've got a great team, you're gonna win all the championships.
Yeah.
If you haven't, your chances are limited. So, that's how it came about, and I think hopefully we've all got it right so far, and it'd be nice to see it grow as well.
Yeah, well, best of luck for the future ahead. And I know we my team's been speaking with Gabrielle as well in the lead up to this, and it's all been positive and really great. So, yeah, best of luck for that.
Thanks, Bruce.
As we do look to close, I've got some quick fire questions, but they can be long form answers, right? So, from the Pipedrive or Lodago, you can answer this either side, but highlights of the platform, and highlights of the integration.
Yeah, definitely. So I guess top tips, or getting started really. Firstly, with Lodago, it's really quick and easy to get started. You just integrate your calendar, select your video conference tool, customize your logo and your brand. It's also important to specify, obviously, when you're using Pipedrive, your prospect city, because when you actually send the invitation through to them, the calendar is displayed with your real-time availability, but it's according to their their time zone. So we actually cover 40 time zones globally. Sorry, we cover 40 languages in all time zones globally. So essentially,
Understood.
if I was in London and I'm sending this to you, and you're in Tokyo, for example, and I send my calendar to you, when you open the email, it will display in your own language and time zone, which is quite unique. But you can also create your own commercial email templates, send your integrated calendar, and naturally, as everybody always asks, you can check all of your KPIs,
Yeah.
because it's all about the numbers often.
Yeah.
So it's really simple.
So for people to um, maybe to tackle this in two ways, from the individual contributor to the manager there, right? So how would, if you're looking to really excel using the platform, what are some top tips to again drive engagement and and higher
Yeah, so
returns?
that's a good point. For the end user, they can monitor all of their KPIs. They can change their strategy at any time. So when they're creating email messages and templates, they can change their strategy. What they're saying, how they're saying it, in a number of different ways. Which is really helpful for them, and they can monitor the results that they're getting, through those, the click rates and calendar bookings, etc. But also from the administrator, it's really easy for them to monitor their individual performance with the individual user KPIs as well, and obviously, the users themselves as well. So it's I guess the whole thing really is just about simplicity. Um, you know,
Yeah. Yeah, and that comes back to the core of the product as well, right? So,
yeah.
um, and we do know a lot of the people at Pipedrive listen to this. So, I mean, are there any Pipedrive feature requests that you can think of as someone that knows CRMs inside and out?
Yeah,
Um,
admittedly, at the moment, the requests tend to come directly into our CTO,
mm,
Mustafa. So I've not seen too many of those recently. But as I said earlier, we are being asked for lots of different features that people that are using other solutions that don't use AMP sort of email functionality.
yeah,
People are saying to us, well, it'd be great if we could have this and it'd be great if we had that, because we don't get that with what we're doing at the moment.
yeah,
And what we've done is we're shortlisting those to pick out the best ones, and looking to try to deliver those to our prospects as well as our clients in as quickly as we can, really, because we know that it's continually going to be a market leading product, if we do that.
mm,
And because obviously, being a startup, we're agile. We can do that, quite quickly in a lot of instances. So we think that will give us the advantage. But most importantly, for our users, ultimately, it'll give them the best experience and the best ability for their prospects and clients to book meetings with them, and increase their revenue numbers, and hit their own targets essentially.
yeah. I like it, and that's what we're all here for, right? In B2B. So,
For sure.
um, is is there anything in particular you'd like to cover before we sign off today?
I guess probably just a reminder, Bruce. Just for your listeners, is that letting a recipient perform an action directly from inside an email, whilst always having access to up to date information, is a game changer.
Mm,
It does revolutionise the user experience, and potentially can increase the conversion rates by up to 60%. The average business, essentially, if you asked a business, well, what's your target for next year? If they could increase, their business revenues by, 10, 15, 20%, that's usually huge for most businesses. So to be able to potentially increase, the conversion rate of meetings by up to 60% can be a very, very good start in those bottom line revenue numbers being achieved, essentially. So I guess that's probably the thing I'd like to leave everybody with is, it's all about increasing your conversion ability by having the least amount of actions, essentially.
yeah, I like it. So again, we did say during this, but the best way to stay up to date would be to go to the website, sign up to the newsletter, give it a trial yourself, right, or find it on the Pipedrive marketplace yourself. So,
Yeah,
um,
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Install it from Pipedrive, simple plugin. Come to the website lodago.com, book a demo,
mm,
and check out our FAQs. But you can also sign yourself up directly through the website as well. So you don't necessarily always need a salesperson involved in that process. We give a lot of information, some great info on the website, and the process is really quick and easy to do.
brilliant. Well, thank you, Ivan, and that's it for this week. Thanks so much for listening to the Evolve Pipedrive podcast. We talk all things Pipedrive, sales, apps, and Pipedrive marketplace. Um, Thank you so much. And if you have enjoyed this episode, please consider liking, subscribing, or sharing with someone in your network. Be very, very useful. Ivan, thank you very much.
Thanks, Bruce.